Hello guys, it is that panda again. I'm sorry, I have not been uploading super a lot. I think I missed the last 2 days and I've been kind of sick. I don't know if you guys could hear from my PC videos, but I was actually kind of sick. And I'll kind of explain how we won. And honestly, this was a much easier win than we should have had. I will say right off the bat, my PC actually was freezing up. I had to restart it going in. So I was actually like 2 or 3 minutes behind on my like accounts, right? And my accounts do take up a big portion of our fighting power, and it does like kind of make us match into a higher bracket. So it is really bad when I'm not able to get my accounts in, and that was really like scary. And I was like, oh shoot, this might be like really bad because we're gonna lose time advantage, right? But the thing is, I think B0RN were just not very coordinated. I don't think they really planned this ahead, and that was like their biggest issue. And I'll kind of explain a lot of the mistakes they made. So first off, I will say that, like the biggest issue that I saw going in, and I did think this was going to be a tough fight, was their tier 6 player. And I knew they had better tech than me. I knew they had better gear. I knew they had better everything. And if we were to fight and they were to fight properly, we would have 100% lost this. And I'm not trying to say this to make them sound bad, but overall their strategy wasn't good. These guys played with no coordination, and of course we aren't the most coordinated group either. Like I won't act like we are. I won't act like my alliance is the most coordinated, though we do still have a bit of coordination. We know what we're doing, we know how to hold structures, we know how important they are. And I feel like one big issue here was like one, their tier 6 dude, I didn't even see him teleport up to a helipad. I'm pretty sure he just sat in home zone, and that just didn't make much sense to me. It would have been way more convenient to be up near a helipad, have like better march time. And even if we burn out the helipad, it was like really unlikely that we would hit his base. And he ends up actually confining himself to the like home zone after we take their helipads out, right? And that was actually a really big issue that I noticed, because obviously like we're gonna be able to just see where his marches are coming from, where he's going. Whereas if he was sitting near a helipad and we obviously don't have the strength to burn him out, at least like right away while fighting his other members, he could have been like kind of forcing us to focus more on reinforcing certain structures, or him going into our backlines. Overall, just him not teleporting just was a huge mistake. And I will say we also swarmed a lot of his marches. A lot of their members would be spread out on the map. They would be just filing in one by one, and we would just like, well, I don't want to say we, because I feel like a lot of this was me, but I would just like murder ball into a lot of their marches, swarm down certain marches. And you will notice this, that their tier 6 marches do take a while to burn, but you guys are gonna like really see that I focus their DPS marches every time. Like every time I leave their Tom for last, you see me target Chun, you see me target Maya, you see me target both their rider heroes, Kath and Cynthia. Overall, you guys see that, and I want you guys to really note that, because that is so important when fighting on the field. You really got to be focusing on these DPS marches that are dealing a lot of damage. Don't instantly go for the tank. It is just not as effective, right? Like there's not as much effectiveness of you targeting a tank compared to their DPS marches. Overall, I don't want to like make it sound like I'm insulting these guys, but they were really sloppy, and they could have 100% won this if they're like, like I said. Also, we instantly were able to take over their outposts and stuff, right? Where we shouldn't have been able to if they had properly reinforced them. They had gotten good garrison captains in there. We did swarm them out early, and of course, they had way less players than us. I will give them that, right? We did have player advantage. I will also say that I didn't actually refresh a lot of my troops. Although a lot of my marches do get low on a lot of my alts, I actually never ran out of almost most of their marches. I only refreshed a few times with maybe like two, maybe like 5 marches max between all my accounts. So these marches run on the field for the whole duration of the event. They don't die, or most of them don't die, and they don't refresh much, which is really amazing when you consider the fact that we were fighting tier 6 and I was swarming a lot of tier 6. And tier 6 is beefy. They took a lot. Like they would just tank a lot of these madman swarms. And overall, I think that like we did really well. We did a good job at reinforcing. And I will say that I did get arrogant at some point, and rightfully so, where I was garrison captain in some outposts on the left side of the map, and then I actually ended up pulling my garrison captains out, because at some point I was like, the point advantage is just too huge. They aren't able to do anything, and I just want more PvP on the field, right? Like I just want to have more fun. And I will say, like of course that did bite me a little bit. Whereas like, I took out my garrison captains and I was fighting with them, and then their tier 6 dude just ran up the field. He ends up taking like 2 of the outer outposts and stuff, but I mean, we of course take them back right away. I mean, it only like prohibited us from getting points for another minute or two, though still overall it was like a sloppy mistake I made. Of course, I knew I was making that mistake, and it was pretty simple. And you guys kind of get it, right? Like I was literally just being arrogant. I was being cocky. And you know what? It wasn't like we paid for it. We were still gonna win. And like it's like I don't want to sound like I'm just looking down on these guys, but overall they were really sloppy, and this really made them just pay, right? Like we were able to just run around, zero some bases over here. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the bottom corner, you guys see all those marches stacking. I do not see numbers coming out of them, and I'm wondering if that is the march limit on bases that we're seeing right here, where these marches aren't able to hit. So it's just interesting to see that and like see if that's actually like the march limit. And I will say that, of course, you guys got to understand a lot of my accounts aren't weak, right? Like there are a lot of them are 60 mil. I'll say like, even if zero, they're like 50 plus million, a lot of them. So of course their tech is pretty good. A lot of these people aren't able to win like trades. So it does make sense that these guys, were getting burnt out on the field and all that. And they couldn't really beat us. But just considering the fact that these guys did have a tier 6 player, and if they played this right and tried to keep things full, this could have been a way worse battle for us, right? Like we definitely would have been struggling more. I also don't know if you guys are gonna notice in a second. I swap out the captain here for I think it's Ray Girl. But before I actually had swapped out to Bella on the other outpost, and that was really bad. But I didn't have any more marches nearby, and I knew I had the best tech, so I was just trying to hold on for as long as possible. Bella is only a single target, focus of course, compared to like Ray Girl and like Peterson, where like they are built for garrisoning, and Peterson of course can heal like crazy, so that does keep us on on this thing for a while. Luckily I did manage to get a garrison captain in here to kind of hold it on, and then we were able to just swarm these off the field, and we were able to just kind of go back to bumping on them near their home base. But overall, you guys kind of get the point. These guys did really just make a lot of mistakes early game, and it cost them. There was no way for them to recover. The second their garrison started falling, they couldn't take it back because they just didn't have the field presence. I mean, like their tier 6 dude wasn't rallying. He wasn't he just wasn't doing anything that he should have been. He was just running around doing whatever, right? And that was like the big issue. And like I said, I don't try to like trash people or make them sound bad, but overall they were really sloppy, and that was just what killed them here. And like we definitely should have been struggling more. These guys weren't small. They are a pretty old region. They have, like I said, people with better, like a player with better tech than us. Just overall, like if these guys had been playing garrison mode, they could have won this, or it could have been close. And that's what I feel like I say this so much, but I want people to understand that playing garrison is just really smart. You really want to have your strongest tech players playing as garrison captain, holding these outer outposts, especially because they're the most important for points. And then just overall, like have people stay filling them. Try to avoid field combat when you really don't need to. Like in our case, we weren't really struggling, so there was no need for us not to like kind of fight on the field. But in most cases, you don't want to be fighting on the field, especially if it's a close battle. You want to avoid being like caught up on the field, wasting your time, especially if you're trying to garrison something and they're trying to just hold you back from kind of reinforcing it. Like it's just, I feel like it's really simple. And like just so much these people could learn from this. And overall, I mean, like I said, guys, I know I keep saying I don't mean to insult these guys, but honestly, like I try to be kind in my videos, and I try to just make this educational. So I try not to sound like a toxic player, but I am brutal about how I kind of go through my footage and just how I say people are wrong. Also, I don't know if you guys are gonna see soon, but I was freaking chasing these guys down across the field. I think they were just avoiding me at some point, like trying to avoid my little swarms. I actually end up trying to chase down their tier 6 dude. And overall, like I said, this dude is strong, but against like a swarm of this much, it is just hard for him to hold on, especially when I'm like targeting their like their DPS marches, and if you guys don't know what DPS means, that means damage per second. So like I said earlier, you would like avoid tanks like Tom or Regro and leave them for last, because there's no point for you to kind of focus those when they are specifically just meant to tank damage, and they're not going to be dealing as much damage to your your targets on the field. Also, this is him running away from me, but I have tier 5 troops, so of course they're faster than their tier 6, because tier 6 is generally slower. So it was nice to catch up to this dude. I tried to target his slower marches, avoided the riders, and you guys see that we target their chun melts. We're gonna target their Kath or Cynthia next, maybe their Maya. You guys like guys on the field, always make sure to target their DPSs. I know I keep like hammering the same stuff, but this video is pretty straightforward about the information. I feel like there's just so much to learn from this. Like definitely a lot of mistakes that were made. But yeah. I'm sorry if you guys are annoyed with me, by the way. I know I'm just like repeating the same stuff. I feel like I don't have anything to say this video. Like a lot of this stuff is just straightforward. I mean, I I don't even know, guys. Like this was a really like I'd say a frustrating battle just because it was really underwhelming. Like these guys definitely should have done better. There was so much they could have done better. Like I feel like a lot of this relied on their top player, and he definitely let his team down. Like, not even for the fact that these guys weren't able to win, but like the fact that these guys weren't really able to get as many points as they should have been able to. Just even holding these buildings for longer, their team would have been able to perform better. Their team would have been able to get more points. And like overall everyone would have like profited way more, right? And it just was really rough. Like it's really rough watching this back and realizing how much better they could have done. And I feel like a lot of this was to blame on their top dude. And like I said, I don't try to like paint these guys out to be terrible, but there's definitely so much they can improve on. And I do hope they see this video and they just have a better, they just think more ahead for their next video, or is there not their next video, for their next event, because it's just if they just held these structures, they definitely could have done better. Their team could have maybe won this. And I mean, everyone wants to have fun, and I feel like when you're definitely trying your butt off, you're gonna be having more fun. Like it's just always more fun when it's like you're putting in more effort. That's just me though. I hope you guys enjoyed this video though. I know I'm just blabbing on, and I do appreciate you guys as always for watching, and I thank you guys. So peace out, enjoy your day or night, and I will see you guys in the next video.